Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, I see them yopo.
The Supreme Court ruling or conduct has kept a lot of people questioning their conduct currently, which Inusah has also joined the queue to register his displeasure in the Supreme Court's ruling and actions, which I brought to you today, and I want you to join me listening to what he said into detail. Please stay tuned, watch to the end, and leave a comment after watching, or send us a voice note on our WhatsApp number, which is 0277128777. Thank you. Do share as well. Do share. Turn the notification to all posts so that you'll be notified of any latest video. We have more in stock coming your way that you cannot afford to mix. Stay tuned. Turn the notification bell on. This still remain PENDREAM TV, the only authentic source of political news and the biggest blogger in Ghana for now. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Order. Order.
Mr.
Order.
Speaker, the tradition of parliament in this country since independence is quite clear. Sir Noble Arden Clark was sworn into office in Parliament, before Parliament. Lord Listowel was sworn into office in Parliament, before Parliament. The late Dr. Kwame Nkrumah himself was sworn into office in Parliament, before Parliament. General Efrifa was sworn into as head of state in Parliament, before Parliament. The late Justice Akufo-Addo was sworn into office in Parliament, before Parliament. And the last, Dr. Hila Liman, was sworn into office in Parliament, before Parliament. The precedents are clear because 1992 is a minority of one. These are not colonial precedents. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was Mr. Speaker, these are the precedents of independent Ghana since 1957 for our young friends who do not know the history.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
And seriously, Mr. Speaker, I do hope that we will make use of the precincts of Parliament as other legislatures do. In a little while, the President of the United States will be sworn into office in the forecourt of Congress, in Congress, before Congress. Yes, here's your forecourt. Yes, in Parliament, before Parliament. Because, Mr. Speaker, the premises of Parliament, Mr. Speaker, consist not only of this chamber, but of the premises of Parliament. And that is the law. The premises of Parliament, that is the law. The premises...
Order, order. Order, order.
Mr. Speaker, the premises of Parliament, including your own office.
Honorable members,
Mr. Speaker, the premises of Parliament,
please,
including your own office and the whole premises, this is the home of Parliament. And I'm making this point quite seriously because it is our wish on this side of the House that the authority and dignity of Parliament should be affirmed and reaffirmed on every possible occasion as one of the bulwarks of our freedom.
Who said that?
The Glasgows. I mean, we didn't. That was all captured.
Who said Gia?
That was not captured. Really, on the what do you call it? It was not captured on tape though. But the Ghost Bus didn't start today. It's always been there.
Well, thank you for giving us this throwback. I think for those of us who are not initiated fully with how Parliament used to run, it's good to know that this, as the kids call it, violence didn't start today. Yeah. Parliament has always been very vibrant.
Yeah, and this was the tottering stages of our fourth Republican, constitution, because they had just done 4 years,
right?
And we're coming back to do another 4. And this very instrumental debate had happened at the time. We'll come back to give you some more. 27 minutes after 9 on 3FM 92.7. Let's now talk some cash. Amma of Game Park is joining us on the phone. Amma, good morning. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
I'm very well. Now, what do you have for us this morning?
All right. Hi to all our listeners. Draw result is out this morning. For pick 4, the winning numbers are 8244. 8244. And that of pick 1 is 36. That of pick 1 is 36. So we are encouraging everybody. Christmas is just away, a month and few weeks. So dial star 946#. Make sure you are trying your luck each and every day. Right. Don't give up.
Great. Thank you very much, Amma. We're grateful that you could share some more detail with us. And Reverend John Ter Memorial, the Honorable Inusah Hussaini, also a member of Parliament for the Tamale Central constituency. Gentlemen, good morning. Thank you for your time. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Great. Alasan, good morning. How are you doing, Council?
Good morning, and good morning to your listeners.
Great.
Doing great.
Thank you so much. Let me start with you, Honorable, former MP. And former minister. Yesterday, I'm sure you monitored proceedings in the courts relative to what the Speaker is asking and what the court is refusing. What do you think?
So yesterday, the proceeding was basically for the Speaker to instruct his lawyers to go to court to vacate the order of the court on the grounds that they were made without jurisdiction, and that and also raise bias as to the involvement of a former parliamentary candidate for the whole central in the panel of the court that sat to take that decision. So that was what the matter came to. The court refused to give the vacate its own judgment and repeated almost the same reasons that they gave when they ruled to stay the execution, issued the temporary measures to prevent the execution of the ruling of the Speaker.
Now, this back and forth with Parliament, you have been in Parliament, you have been a member of the executive as well. This back and forth at this crucial time of our national life, is this what we need now?
Well, yes and no. Yes, in the sense that it's like a storm, and like every storm to a tree. When the storm blows, the roots of the tree goes deeper, and so the tree becomes stronger. So yes, this is a turbulent time. Our democracy is under some test. It appears that the judiciary and the legislature are on a collision course, and so I just hope that we come out of it not very bruised, badly bruised. And then our democracy can become stronger, so that these institutions will appreciate and understand the various remits within which they operate. And to know, because we are just about getting into an election, and heightened tension is not what we should all be confident in.
Alasan, there were lots of laws that were quoted and thrown about here and there yesterday. For us, the lay people, this whole legalese and all this legal tussle, again, I ask you as a lawyer, is it necessary now?
Well, law is always necessary, but whether it is always preferable in a particular circumstance is yet another thing. And for me, I think a political question or something that has to be addressed politically is being put before the court, and that is causing a mess in the judicial system. This is an issue I think the members of parliament and the politicians, the executive and the legislature should have approached consensually. Because the Constitution does not guarantee any person, any president, majority in parliament. The expectation is even that a president can have minority of members in parliament. And if you are not able to rule with minority in parliament, it should not be that someone is thwarting government business. It should be a question of competence of the leaders. And so for me, I don't think it is something that should have been in court. But of course, they have chosen to go to court. And of course, the legalese must come in court. And whether the legalese are even properly applied in the circumstances is another thing we might be discussing subsequently.
I see. Now, Honorable, so the Speaker says Parliament has been suspended, or if you like, is postponed sitting Synodine. Can the courts, if you like, compel the Speaker of Parliament to say, go back, reopen Parliament, and let business continue?
The supervisory jurisdiction of the court does not extend to Parliament. So they cannot do that. They have no such power. Either real or fictitious. Their jurisdiction over Parliament is a jurisdiction of a general nature. And that is captured in Article 130 to give a final, binding, authoritative interpretation of what the Constitution means. And when the Supreme Court so pronounces, everybody follows, including Parliament. Apart from that, the Supreme Court has no supervisory jurisdiction over Parliament.
So for those who are saying that, given the way things are going, we could have a situation where the Supreme Court could say, Mr. Speaker, go back and let's have Parliament as we used to have it. That will never happen.
Well, that would be the height of impunity.
Counsel, let me come to you and ask you a simple question. Professor Ransford Jampo, a known political scientist in this country, has been worried about the decision of the court yesterday, that the court finds it difficult to contend with a situation where 4 members of parliament are being asked to vacate their seats by the speaker, and so their constituents would all have representation. And he's juxtaposing that against the people of Santro Kofi, Akpafu, Likpe, and Lolobi, who have not had representation for almost 4 years. He says every well-meaning Ghanaian should be concerned and worried. Are you concerned and worried?
Of course. I am concerned and worried. I've written a whole article about what has happened to Sal, in citing or clearly citing the roles and interventions of the judiciary, the executive, and all other people, and the Electoral Commission. So I am very concerned about Sal, and it surprised me that right of representation was regarded by the Supreme Court as exceptional circumstances, exceptional enough to deny someone of a hearing and issue an interlocutory order. It was very, very concerning. And I'm not only concerned about that because it happened to South. Right. You know, it also happened to James Kwesing constituency. The same Supreme Court. Yes, Jesse Kwesing. The same Supreme Court at a time that James Kwesing has a right of appeal to be heard in the Court of Appeal about an order setting aside or annulling his election. He had a right to be heard in the Court of Appeal, and yet the Supreme Court didn't allow him to leave the people until the Court of Appeal decides otherwise. They went ahead to injunct him, although the High Court had an injunction which should have been enforced. And so for the same Supreme Court to be telling us that the right of the people of the 4 constituencies involved here to be represented is exceptional circumstance for them to issue such a novel order is really, really worrying, I must say.
For you, does this further water down the public perception of the Supreme Court or the judiciary in the minds of the people that, look, if we take something to the court, we are almost certain in our minds that if we do make a prediction that it will turn left or right, we are sure that it will happen in that direction?
Definitely. There's something in law we call stare decisis or judicial precedents. Okay? And that is to ensure that the principle of law are equally applied to similar circumstances. And that is fairness
and justice. It does not only ensure fairness and justice, it also ensures that the law is certain, it's predictable, and it boosts public confidence in the judiciary. And so this decision that was given yesterday, it flies against a lot of the precedents of the Supreme Court itself.
3FM,
and I was surprised at the Supreme Court's decision about the High Court jurisdiction under Article 99 to handle this matter, and to refer it to them only when there is a constitutional interpretation arising from the exercise of the High Court jurisdiction. I was shocked at what they say. Because historically, not long ago, the Article 99, the jurisdiction of the High Court over matters like this, elections and those things, that a seat is vacant or not, whether the speaker is elected or validly elected or not, whether the speaker vacates, all those things are within the jurisdiction of the High Court. And there are Supreme Court decisions in Bedima and Awuna Williams, Yabua and J.H. Mensah. The same Supreme Court said that two principles govern their intervention or their non-intervention with the jurisdiction of the High Court under Article 99. One, that where a statute prescribes a remedy and prescribes a procedure and gives a court in which that remedy should be sought, it is that court alone that an aggrieved party must go to seek that remedy, and in accordance with the procedure of that court alone.
I see.
Number two, the second principle, based on which they decline jurisdiction to enforce Article 94 in those times, in Yabua and J.H. Mensah, was also that you know that the Supreme Court has something we call practice directions, which was issued in 1981. And that practice direction in its paragraph 6 is saying that where the Supreme Court has concurrent jurisdiction with any superior court, anybody seeking a redress must go, or over such an issue, must go to the lower superior court first.
Right.
Otherwise, the Supreme Court will not assume jurisdiction over the matter.
Which will be the High Court in this matter, in this case.
Yes, the High Court in this matter. And it didn't even stop there. It said if any person leaves the lower superior court and run to the Supreme Court with that issue, the lawyer involved in that case will be awarded cost personally.
Whoa.
Yes. And this practice direction has been applied in Bedima and Awuna Williams by the same Supreme Court. It's been applied in Yabua and J.H. Mensah in the same Supreme Court. This is in respect of Article 99(1) and its equivalent provisions in the 1979 and 69 constitutions.
I see.
And I must say that, you see, the Supreme Court has the unique discretion of departing from their previous decisions. That is constitutional. That is in Article 129 of our Constitution. But, you see, even the Supreme Court itself has cautioned the exercise of this discretion because it has to do with administration of justice and it has to do with certainty and predictability of the law. They are bound to make the law certain to us. And so they say that if you have to depart from your previous decision, which the Constitution say would ordinarily be considered as binding anyway. So if you haven't departed yet, it's binding on you. And if you have to depart, you have to acknowledge the previous decisions. Tell us why. Give us cogent reasons why you are departing from those decisions. So in this particular case, just to cut long story short, because there are a lot to talk about.
Right.
In this particular case, it is a complete departure from the previous decision of the same Supreme Court, from the precedent that is made. And now, I said yesterday to a colleague that if Justice Kega were active and hearing this, he would be smiling. Because, you know what? In the Jabua and J.H. Mensah case, he was the only dissenting judge. And you need to read his dissenting opinion. Very, very powerful.
I see.
And it was full with expression of deep passions about the undertones of our Constitution and the effect of that decision for the future.
I see.
Because he took the position that Article 99 should be interpreted to mean that the High Court has jurisdiction only in respect with electoral processes that invalidate elections. But when it comes to issues of disqualification, because they are stated in Article 94, or they are stated in the Constitution, and the constitutional provisions have been made the exclusive jurisdiction. Enforcement of the Constitution has been made exclusive jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. Disqualification should not be a grounds for which the High Court should set aside an election or invalidate an election.
I see. Let me bring our senior brother in. Honorable, I'll ask you this now. How do we resolve this impasse? Because you know that the transitional budget and other things would have to be considered around this time. There are bills that are outstanding. The government business must not be stalled. It must not have hiccups. How do we resolve it? You tell us.
Well, because when parties or leaders of parties take intransigent positions on matters of national interest and are looking at those interests through their partisan political spectacles, this is where you come to. The MPP administration and MPP government and Nana Akufo-Addo ought to have known that they are in charge of this country and that they have a responsibility to ensure that government business is carried out without let or hindrance. And so for them to take the initial action without engaging the speaker to see how they could come out of this quagmire is what has pushed us further into this abyss. And I think it is the MPP that should make the overtures to the speaker, to the members of parliament, and begin to speak in a language that will unite us in finding a solution to this problem, and not any other institution. And I've not heard since this matter came up that the president appealing to the people, appealing to members of parliament, appealing to Ghanaians to help resolve this matter for the business of government to continue. And that is the impunity, that is the arrogance with which I see this government attacking the problem or trying to solve the problem. So for me, backdoor channels, institutions of this nature, backdoor channels are the preferred means of having consensus built on the way forward. I agree entirely with Osman that the Constitution already envisages that we can have a parliament with the minority members of parliament, but the people of Ghana deciding to elect a president preside over the minority members of parliament. It is not, I mean, we are going there. I think the elections to give you a clear indication that this could happen. And so when that happens, it is not the majority leader who becomes the leader of government. It will be the minority leader because he will be championing the business of government. And the Constitution anticipated that. So I don't see any path. The path I see presently is that if we do go to the full hawk, are we going to reconstitute the committees of parliament? Are we going to establish a committee of selection? Are we going to ensure that the bills that have been passed by the majority or by parliament are reversed because the new majority had a position earlier? These are things, conversations that we can have. And it is government that has the responsibility of initiating that conversation. This government is a disappointment without measure.
Now, in the midst of all this disappointment that you express, the people of Ghana are wondering that, look, we elected our parliamentarians to go to parliament to go and seek our interests. Now, it appears that personal interest and partisan interest is what has taken center stage over and above what is supposed to be the interest of the people. Is that the way to go?
The interest of people is coterminous with the interest of the political party, in the sense that when you go into elections, you go with a manifesto, and the people buy into the manifesto and give you a mandate. And that is the interest of your party, and that's the legitimacy you have to implement the manifesto. And so when government goes to the people with a manifesto and is given the mandate to rule, it is presumed that therein lies the interest of the people to do exactly what the government said it would do, or what the party said it would do when it went to the people. So in Parliament, that's why we sit in majority and minority, ruling government, party, and opposition. The opposition have no business in ruling, in the sense that they don't have direct responsibility of introducing policy into Parliament. Their role is to examine the policy, ensure the fidelity of the policy. Was it what you sent to the people? Will it, inure to the benefit of the people? Will it inure to the benefit of this country? Is it cost-effective? Is it prudent? And that's what they do. They scrutinize, because it is believed in a democratic setting that when you don't have the opposition to scrutinize what government does, government might take the people for granted, for a ride. And so it will be remiss on my part to say that it is the responsibility of the minority to provide leadership. It is, and I say it again, it is the responsibility of the ruling party to provide leadership in this situation.
Osman, let's wrap up the conversation. Where do we go from here? Cover this.
We are almost out of it, aren't we, in 2025 already? And that's why I think all these legalese about it shouldn't have been necessary, because the time left for us to be out of 2024 in the first place is very limited, and court processes are long. So it won't help us. It is possible that Parliament will never convene or reconvene, or even if it does, it will not do any serious business before the end of this term. Even if they succeed in getting court to do all the illegal things we are seeing, there might not be government business, any serious government business before the end of this term of Parliament. And that's why I think that they should have, as Senior said, there should have been someone providing leadership in all these things. Because, for us to have members of Parliament throwing tantrums like kids fighting over a football, it's worrying. And you see, as Senior said, the expectation should have been that the president should have taken the leadership, speak to the people, speak to Parliament, speak to everybody, and provide leadership to have a consensual resolution of this issue, and to have the Parliament function for the limited period that is left for its term to end. So without this, we might not go anywhere. Where we should be going actually is the 2025 election.
I see.
And I agree with Senior that the tension that is left for us to deal with is not conducive for an election, a general election.
I see. Thank you very much, Council Inusah, Osman. We're grateful. We're grateful very much indeed for your time. Inusah Fusen, you have the final word on this one. If you met the leaders, if you met the leaders,
I have a final word to say that the times are not good for us. The democracy is built on consensus.
Right.
So we will have you read all the constitutional provisions, read the laws. That we have agreed that if we want to solve a problem, how we solve it. That's the consensus. Now there are political questions that have to be dealt with. That the integrity of the institutions of state will have to be protected. That we have said that the Constitution promises us for prosperity and equality of opportunities. That can only be done when the institutions are strong and are delivering according to their mandates. But when you see institutions overreaching their mandate and doing things to weaken other institutions, the promise in the Constitution, in the preamble of delivering prosperity and equality of opportunities might elude us. So let's set up and think out how to get ourselves out of this quagmire.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lawyer Inusah Fuseni, former Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, former MP for Tamale Central, and he's joining us here. We're grateful that he could join us this morning.
Thank you for staying tuned. PENDREAM TV really appreciate your time. Once again, if you have not yet subscribed to the channel as a new member, please do so for us. Hit the notification bell for more updates. Like and also share to other members to watch as well. You can also leave a comment after watching or send us a voice note on our WhatsApp number, as we usually tell you. We are available for everybody. Send us a voice note on anything that you want us to hear of, whether to help you publish any report of your choice for you. Thank you. Stay tuned for more.
PENDREAM TV now, so far so good. Say open online portal le Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.